Okay. So, welcome to Understanding Contributor Roles in Scholarly Publications. My name is Micah Altman. I'm Director of Research at the MIT Libraries, and we'll provide a brief introduction, and then we'll hear from Veronique Kiermer, who's at the Nature Publishing Group, Director of Author and Reviewer Services, and Amy Brand, Digital Science, who's now the VP for Academic and Research Relations, and Josh Greenberg, the Sloan Foundation, and Program Officer for the Digital Information Technology Program. And we'd like to thank our organizers at SSP for putting in all the time and effort to organize this session. So, why should we care about this? What's the possible problem that contributor roles might solve? Well, let's think about authorship trends for just a few seconds, and we'll hear more about this. But the basic differences between then and now, from 1932 to 1962, there was a tremendous increase in the number of authors per paper, from roughly less than 2 to a little bit more than 2. Things are a bit different now. If you look at some just point estimates, like 1980, average number of authors in high-ranked medical journals is 4.5. 2000, 6.9. So we're going 2 for 30 years to a lot more. And now, well, this looks like a picture of a galaxy, and it is, but it's also an author list. And we're seeing scholarly works in which there can be hundreds of authors, thousands of authors, tens of thousands of authors contributing to scholarly work. And so how do we start to figure out what piece of the work was contributed to, what aspect of that for evaluation, for prediction? And there are a whole range of questions in this area that is generated by the changes in patterns of contributorship in scholarship. There are issues like honorary authorship, ghost authorship, disputes. There are shifts from the forms of publishing and how we move evaluation methods now that scholarship has different patterns of collaboration. There are decreasing granularities of publication and how we assign authorships to parts or substructures of documents. With dynamic documents, with data sets, with software, authorship may change over time. So there are a whole range of questions. And this is, contributorship is a slice of it, but it supports broader questions across all these spaces. And so one of the questions to ask is what sort of analytics could we have if we knew exactly who contributed to what? Could we be more precise in our current analytics around impact factors or citation indices? Could we develop new measures of collaboration or measures of collaboration around new sorts of research objects, around grants, data sets, software? Can we use better understanding of contributorship to understand populations that are not as visible in the scholarly world, the role of postdocs or the role of graduate students or data scientists. And does this, how does this expand our map of science? So the state of the practice is that citation is ambiguous. You have a citation, and there may be some information that's carried by who's first author versus last, but that information is hard to understand. It varies by discipline, and the richer information that we sometimes have in terms of authorship statements is typically qualitative, and it's rarely exposed out for review analysis. And the motivation is primarily for misconduct and conflict of interest, and not for understanding wider scholarly analytics. Also, authorship norms, who is included as an author, vary by journal even within the same field. So what merits being on that author list depends in part on what field you are in part what journal you published in. So you may have contributed to a particular part, and it may never appear. There are a number of guidelines and best practices in this space. They're typically created by the publisher community, and they're primarily prescriptive. Well, there's some interesting empirical work. So that's the motivation. We'll